Viditam kalmashapaham Sravanamangalam Srimadatam Bhuvidananti ye Nirajanan. The Gospel of Sri Ramakrishna. Again the master sang, see how all Nadia is shaking under the waves of Gauranga's love. The crowd with the master in the center surged towards the temple of Radha Krishna. Only a small number could enter. The rest stood outside the portal and jostled with one another to have a look at Sri Ramakrishna. In a mood of intoxication, he began to dance in the courtyard of the shrine. Every now and then, his body stood transfixed in deep samadhi. Hundreds of people around him shouted the name of God, and thousands outside caught the strain and raised the cry with full-throated voice. The echo traveled over the Ganges, striking a note in the hearts of people in the boats on the holy river, and they too chanted the name of God. When the kirtan was over, Manishan took Sri Ramakrishna and Navadip Goswami into a room and served them with refreshments. Afterwards, Ram, M, and the other devotees were also served with the prasad. In the afternoon, the master was sitting in Manishan's drawing room with the devotees. Navadip was also near him. Mani offered the carriage hire to Sri Ramakrishna. Pointing to Ram and the others, the master said, why should they accept it from you? They earn money. He became engaged in conversation with Navadip. Master, Bhakti matured becomes Bhava. Next is Mahabhava, then Prema, and last of all is the attainment of God. Gauranga experienced the states of Mahabhava and Prema. When Prema is awakened, a devotee completely forgets the world. He also forgets the body, which is so dear to a man. Gauranga experienced Prema. He jumped into the ocean, thinking it to be Yamuna. The ordinary jiva does not experience Mahabhava or Prema. He goes only as far as Bhava. But Gauranga experienced all three states. Isn't that so? Navadip. Yes, sir, that is true. The inmost state, the semi-conscious state, and the conscious state. Master. In the inmost state, he would remain in samadhi. In the conscious state, he chanted the name of God. Navadip introduced his son to the master. The young man was a student of the scriptures. He saluted Sri Ramakrishna. Navadip. He studies the scriptures at home. Previously, one hardly saw a copy of the Vedas in the country. Max Muller has translated them, so people can now read these books. Master, too much study of the scriptures does more harm than good. The important thing is to know the essence of the scriptures. After that, what is the need of the books? One should learn the essence and then dive deep in order to realize God. The Divine Mother has revealed to me the essence of the Vedanta. It is the Brahman alone is real and the world illusory. The essence of the Gita is what you get by repeating the word 10 times. The word becomes reversed. It is then Tagi, which refers to renunciation. The essence of the Gita is, O man, renounce everything and practice spiritual discipline for the realization of God. Navadip. But how can we persuade our minds to renounce? Master, you are a Goswami. It is your duty to officiate as priest in the temple. You cannot renounce the world. Otherwise, who would look after the temple and its services? You have to renounce mentally. It is God Himself who has kept you in the world to set an example to men. You may resolve in your mind 1,000 times to renounce the world, but you will not succeed. God has given you such a nature that you must perform your worldly duties. Krishna said to Arjuna, "What do you mean? You will not fight? By your mere will, you cannot desist from fighting. Your very nature will make you fight." At the mere mention of Krishna and Arjuna, the master went into samadhi. In the twinkling of an eye, his body became motionless and his eyeballs transfixed, while his breathing could scarcely be noticed. At this sudden transformation, Navadip and his son and the other devotees looked at the master in mute wonder. Regaining partial consciousness, he said to Navadip, "Yoga and Bhoga, you Goswamis have both. Now your only duty is to call on God and pray to Him sincerely. O God, I don't want the glories of thy world bewitching Maya. I want thee alone. God dwells in all beings, undoubtedly. That being the case, who may be called his devotee? He who dwells in God, he who has merged his mind and life and innermost soul in God." The master returned to the sense plane. Referring to his samadhi, he said to Navadip, "Some say that this state of mind is a disease. I say to them, how can one become unconscious by thinking of him whose consciousness has made the whole world conscious?" Manishan said goodbye to the invited Brahmins and Vaishnavas with suitable gifts and money. He offered 5 rupees to Sri Ramakrishna. The latter said that he could not possibly accept any money, but Mani insisted. The master then asked him, in the name of his guru, not to praise him. Mani requested him again to accept the offering. Sri Ramakrishna asked him, in a distressed voice, whether he should take the money. The disciple made a vehement protest and said, "No, sir, by no means." Friends of Manishan gave the money to Rakhal, requesting him to buy some mangoes and sweets for the master. Sri Ramakrishna said to him, "I have definitely said to Mani that I would not accept the money. I feel free now, but Rakhal has accepted it. His is now the responsibility." Sri Ramakrishna, accompanied by the devotees, took a carriage to return to Dakshineshwar. They were going to pass the temple garden of Matishil on the way. For a long time, the master had been asking him to take him to the reservoir in the garden in order that he might teach him how to meditate on the formless God. There were tame fish in the reservoir. Nobody harmed them. Visitors threw puffed rice and other bits of food into the water, and the big fish came in swarms to eat the food. Fearlessly, the fish swam in the water and sported there joyously. Coming to the reservoir, the master said to him, look at the fish. Meditating on the formless God is like swimming joyfully like this fish. in the ocean of bliss and consciousness. Monday, June 25, 1883. Sri Ramakrishna was at Balaram Bosa's house in Calcutta. Rakhal and M were seated near him. The master was in ecstasy. He conversed with the devotees in an abstracted mood. Master, let me assure you that a man can realize his inner self through sincere prayer. But to the extent that he has the desire to enjoy worldly objects, his vision of the self becomes obstructed. M. Yes, sir. You always ask us to plunge into God, Master, joyously. Yes, that is it. Let me tell you that the realization of self is possible for all without any exception. M. That is true, sir. But God is the doer. He works through different beings in different ways according to their capacity to manifest the divine. God gives the some full spiritual consciousness and others he keeps in ignorance. Master, no, that is not so. One should pray to God with a longing heart. God certainly listens to prayer if it is sincere. There is no doubt about it. A devotee. Yes, sir. There is this I consciousness in us. Therefore, we must pray. Master to M. A man should reach the Nitya, the Absolute, by following the trail of the Lila, the relative. It is like reaching the roof by the stairs. After realizing the Absolute, he should climb down to the relative and live on that plane in the company of devotees, charging his mind with the love of God. This is my final and most mature opinion. God has different forms and he sports in different ways. He sports as Ishvara, Deva, man, and the universe. In every age, he descends to earth in human form as an incarnation to teach people love and devotion. There is the instance of Chaitanya. One can taste devotion and love of God only through his incarnations. Infinite are the ways of God's play, but what I need is love and devotion. I want only the milk. The milk comes through the udder of the cow. The incarnation is the udder. Was Sri Ramakrishna hinting that he was an incarnation of God? Did he suggest that those who saw him saw God? Did he thus speak about himself when speaking of Chaitanya? It was a hot day in June 1883. Sri Ramakrishna was sitting on the steps of the Shiva temple in the temple garden. M arrived with ice and other offerings and sat down on the steps after saluting the master. Master to M. The husband of Manimallik's granddaughter was here. He read in a book that God could not be said to be quite wise and omniscient. Otherwise, why should there be so much misery in the world? As regards death, it would be much better to kill a man all at once, instead of putting him through slow torture. Further, the author writes that if he himself were the creator, he would have created a better world. M. Listened to these words in surprise and made no comment. Master to M. Can a man ever understand God's ways? I too think of God sometimes as good and sometimes as bad. He has kept us deluded by his great illusion. Sometimes he wakes us up, and sometimes he keeps us unconscious. One moment the ignorance disappears, and the next moment it covers our mind. If you throw a brick bat into a pond covered with moss, you get a glimpse of the water. But a few moments later, the moss comes dancing back and covers the water. One is aware of pleasure and pain, birth and death, disease and grief, as long as one is identified with this body. All these belong to the body alone and not to the soul. After the death of the body, perhaps God carries one to a better place. It is like the birth of the child after the pain of delivery. Attaining self knowledge, one looks on pleasure and pain, birth and death as a dream. How little we know. Can a 1 cell pot hold 10 sets of milk? If ever a salt doll ventures into the ocean to measure its depth, it cannot come back and give us the information. It melts into the water and disappears. At dusk, the evening service began in the different temples. The master was sitting on the small couch in his room, absorbed in contemplation of the Divine Mother. Several devotees also were there. Him was going to spend the night with the master. A little later, Sri Ramakrishna began to talk to a devotee privately on the veranda north of his room. He said, "It is good to meditate in the small hours of the morning and at dawn. One should also meditate daily after dusk." He instructed the devotee about meditation on the personal God and on the impersonal reality. After a time, he sat on the semicircular park west of his room. It was about 9 o'clock. "Master, those who come here will certainly have all their doubts removed. What do you say?" M. "That is true, sir." A boat was moving in the Ganges, far away from the bank. The boatman began to sing. The sound of his voice floating over the river reached the master's ears, and he went into spiritual mood. The hair of his body stood on end. He said to M, "Just feel my body." M was greatly amazed. He thought, the Upanishads describe Brahman as permeating the universe and the ether. Has that Brahman as sound touched the master's body? After a time, Sri Ramakrishna began to converse again. "Master, those who come here must have been born with good tendencies. Isn't that true?" M. "It is true, sir." "Master, other must have good tendencies." M. "That goes without saying." Master, "A guileless man easily realizes God. There are two paths, the path of righteousness and the path of wickedness. One should follow the path of righteousness." M. "That is true, sir. If a thread has a single fiber sticking out, it cannot pass through the eye of a needle." Master, if a man finds a hair in the food he is chewing, he spits out the entire morsel. M. But you say that the man who has realized God cannot be injured by evil company. A blazing fire burns up even a plantain tree. Om Niranjanam Nityamanantarupam Bhaktanukampadirtvigram Vai Ishavataram Parameshamidam Tam Rama Krishnam Shivasa Namah.